We are here this morning to urge the legislature to put $52 million back in the budget for child care assistance for families that are working or going to school that need help getting child care in our state.
Tell us why that's important.
It's critically important because we know the first 5 years of life that 90% of the brain develops during that time, and we want to make sure that children have access to quality early care and education so their parents can go to school and work and they can be prepared for kindergarten on day one.
Where does Louisiana rank compared to other states on this issue?
Well, if you look at our accountability system, we're in the top 20 in the country. So wherever our public dollars go, we know that we have a system that's accountable to our children and to our public dollars so that we know that quality is happening for our young children.
Tell us, what is the alternative if this does not happen?
The alternative is this. We have 16,000 children right now that are on the precipice of losing access to quality early care and education. This $52 million would save 4,000 of those 16,000 children to make sure that they would maintain access to quality early care and education in our state.
The children in my district are mostly rural. They have very little opportunities for access, either education or health care, or really any opportunities to enrich early childhood. So it's really important, especially to the rural areas where it's harder to come by, for them to find ways to prepare children to enter kindergarten and give them really the opportunity to feel comfortable as they go to the next level with public school.
And how dependent are the parents on this service?
The parents are absolutely dependent on it, because without an opportunity to put their child in child care, they can't go back to school. We've got a community college that has tried to offer some services with that, and it's not enough seats. We have Southeastern University right there, but the parents have to have a place to leave their children so that they can either continue their education or at least get into the workforce when they're ready for that.
It's my experience with the Early Childhood Commission that's made me aware of the critical need we have in this state for more early childhood education, particularly CCAP students who need it the most. And economically, it is, to me, the number one difference maker in improving the economy of this state. I think that if we don't catch kids by the age of 5, where 90% of the brain is developed, we haven't set in place those structures that are so necessary for learning throughout their careers.
The children that I serve in West Baton Rouge Parish, most of them are in-need families, and we have about 70 who are benefiting from publicly funded seats, and these are working families. These are children ages birth to 4 years old that attend our privately owned child care facilities.
How valuable is the service that you're currently offering now?
Invaluable. As we know, from 0 to 5 is the benchmark when children's brains are most malleable. So the jobs that we do is invaluable for the economy, it is invaluable for our communities, invaluable.
What happens if the money goes away for these services?
If these funds are not replaced, replenished, sustained, we are going to be looking at long-term educational effects. We're going to be looking at long-term community effects. We're going to be looking at a workforce shortage for early childhood education, and our post-secondary and secondary teachers are going to have a hill to climb.
In Southeast Louisiana, we fight for ALICE households. These are households that are asset limited, income constrained, but they're employed, they're hardworking, but they need child care to be able to go to work and show up and do their jobs. And so we fight for them and their children. And then here, we're talking about roughly 4,000 young children that could potentially lose access to child care.
How valuable is the service that you're currently providing to these children?
Well, high quality early care and education is essential, not just as a long-term strategy to help kids, grow up to be thriving young people and adults, but it's also important to families, once again, that individuals want to show up to work, but they need a place that their children can go and learn and grow. So it's an imperative investment, and it's something we have to do.
Well, the Committee 100 is a group of executives from throughout Louisiana, over 100 of them, who are concerned with the workforce issue. And this is a workforce issue because we want people to be trained. We want them to be ready. Our LA4 program has proved the point that early education is important and it contributes to a better life. It contributes to a more productive person. Starting with 2 and 3-year-olds next is where we need to be. Now, we just injected a bunch of capital with federal money last year, but losing it this year, I mean, we've got to bring those seats back so those kids can be in school, so they can be better prepared, because we've gone into issues dealing with transportation and infrastructure, dealing with social reform relative to having a better environment, dealing with everything from fiscal reform and education. But in the of those four, education, early childhood is part of that. It's a workforce issue.
Early care and education really is an economic and a workforce issue. We know that Louisiana loses $1.3 billion annually due to child care breakdowns to our economy, and we know that our businesses lose $762 million annually. So this is a workforce of today issue and a workforce of tomorrow issue, and we have made great strides in our state related to early care and education, and we cannot afford to lose the momentum right now.
How can people get more information?
They can go to our website at readylouisiana.org. It is a coalition made up of over 150 organizations. There are talking points there, as well as links to email legislators.